Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Strike the Blood episode 17. And this one starts off with Aya. She's gone to the school building, and she's using it to recreate the Dark Oath Grimoire, which Natsuki destroyed. And during this process, she gets approached by two librarians from Squad 3, the Socials. Alright, so this organization, the library, is starting to look like Soul Society. Like they've got different squads in craft. Like if these guys are like the Lion King organization, they're a legit group. They're a legit organization. So I say this all the time about Strike the Blood, but I'll say it again because it's true yet again. There's a lot of potential here for future arcs. You've got big organizations like this. Like imagine what would happen if Aya gets beaten here, which she will. Then maybe the library might try and retaliate. Maybe. I mean, she just killed two of their men, but maybe they aren't aware of the fact that it was her that killed them, and maybe they think that it was Vatler or Kojo or someone. So who knows? Who knows how the library is going to move after this? Um, and Yuma left too. The witches of Ashtower were captured, so the library might like legit retaliate for this. So there's a lot of potential here for future arcs. And who knows, maybe the churches might come back, Eustache, Rudolph. But yeah, there's a lot of potential for future arcs in Strike the Blood. I say that all the time. But yeah, I did mention this, but yeah, she did take them out. I kind of did, but yeah, she takes those two guys out. And after that, we kind of move away from Aya for a little bit. She only has two other scenes in the episode involving Mega, but the rest of it focuses on Kojo and Asagi and Natsuki. What we see here is Kojo. He's awake. Apparently, the reason he passed out last week was because he was hungry. Yeah. Not exactly a fan of cliffhangers that aren't like real. It reminds me of Nisekoi in the manga. Well, it's technically a spoiler, but not really. I mean, it is a spoiler, but it's not like the anime is going to get this far anyway. So who cares? But, well, actually, yeah, I won't say it. Never mind. The point is that Nisekoi does this all the time, alright? The author for Nisekoi, his name's Komi Naoshi. He doesn't know how to write romance comedies, so he'll like do all this, and he doesn't like story development at all. He never develops a story. In the beginning, he does. But then, like maybe after the Romeo and Juliet arc, he just stops completely. But this is a review of Strike the Blood, so why am I talking about Nisekoi? Alright, yeah, it's like a fake cliffhanger. He passed out last episode. Turns out it was just because he was hungry, which was kind of annoying. I didn't really like that at all. And he's talking with Himiragi and Sayaka, and they get to talking about Yuma's condition, and her life isn't in any immediate danger. However, she can't legitimately recover without another mage like Natsuki or Aya. In other words, Natsuki, because Aya is definitely not going to help her. And since they want to find Natsuki so that they can get her back to normal and get her to help Yuma, they want to go get help from the Island Guard, since they're the ones Natsuki is affiliated with. But they don't really know where they are, so they want to go get Asagi and help them locate the Island Guard and everything. And Himiraki conveniently sees her on TV with Natsuki, and which whatever you need to do, I guess. But I thought that was a little bit convenient. And they do, at least they figure out that the little girl is Natsuki. There wasn't some type of like typical anime thing where a person puts on a mask that barely hides their face, but for some reason you can't tell it's the same person. Like, it wasn't any of that, where they see Natsuki, but they can't tell it's her, right? They actually figured it out relatively quickly. And Kojo calls Asagi to try and figure out how exactly the situation came about, where she was with Natsuki, but she ends up being attacked by that old guy, Kilika Gilika. Gillica. Wow. The two names are pretty much the same thing. We just switched two letters around. Alright, yeah, this dude, he's a spirit summoner. I would give a little bit of the backstory that Mogwai gave, but to be honest, he's not important enough. He's kind of a loser. Like this dude's supposed to be so dangerous that he was put in the prison barrier, but he can't even kill two normal girls. Like that's and one of them is a legit little girl, and he still can't do anything. Like that's pretty embarrassing if you ask me. Um, he's chasing them, but he's not actually attacking them. Like what? That's a little bit of a stretch here for this guy to be so dangerous and to be trying to kill this girl, yet he never actually makes an attempt to kill her. He just chases her. Like you can control fire. You're burning through metal, burning through streets. Just go like that, and like shoot fire at them. Like they're not gonna be able to do anything. Like, or better yet, go faster. This guy's like floating. He was like floating in the air at one point, right? So why not just fly after? What? Who cares? Right? The guy's a loser. All right. They had Asagi and Natsuki end up bringing him to where the island guard are, Gate E, I think, and Astarte is there too, and she beats him pretty easily. she she just like slaps him into a wall, and then absorbs all of his spirit power, and then he gets sent back inside the prison barrier. This guy's a loser. I have no hope for any of these escaped inmates except for Mega, because Mega is actually like intelligent, and he's not a fool, and he's not a loser pretty much. But after they beat Gillica, Gigliola Girardi shows up. These freaking names, I swear. Gigliola Girardi shows up, and it turns out she's the diva of Quartus Theater, and she's a vampire. Right, so she uses one of her familiars to take control of everyone there except for the people who actually matter. Astarte was inside Rhododactylus, so I get maybe that's why she couldn't control her. But Asagi and Natsuki, why not control Asagi? Like or not someone like instead of controlling those two, she sent another familiar that literally accomplished nothing. She used it twice, and neither time it did anything. So maybe that's because it was Vatler who Vatler showed up, and maybe that's why it didn't do anything. But it wasn't very impressive of a familiar. Yeah, so yeah, Vatler shows up. He's healed. He's healed from his beatdown on the by the hands of Nagisa last week. Well, not technically not Nagisa, but yeah, kind of, but not really. But yeah, he's recovered from his beatdown. And he reveals that Gigliola actually shares the same blood as Chaos Bride, the third progenitor who rules over the Americas. Right, so I'm not gonna lie, when he said that, I actually did kind of expect this fight to be a little bit different from the last one, but it wasn't. Valor had his familiar taken over. So even then I thought, this something good might actually come of this fight. She's actually doing something unlike Gillica. But Vatler ends up using another familiar, and it just completely destroys her. All right, and he says it's been a long time since he was forced to use it. But I mean, the guy just got his butt kicked last week. Like, what do you mean it's been a long time since someone forced you to use this? You lost last week, and your fight with her has been like 5 seconds long. She hasn't had a chance to force you to use it yet. Like, unless he only has 2 familiars, which he doesn't. So. These inmates are just not. There have been 3 inmates so far who have just been losers. That blonde guy from last week, then the 2 from this week. They're all just losers. Again, Mega and Aya are the only good ones. Seriously, all right. Though I will admit that I was slightly taken by surprise in a good way that Vatler just used that familiar to just bite Gigliola, like not like there were a bunch of snakes that were just biting her, and like it was like disturbing to, well, not for me, but like for Asagi it was, and she kind of wanted him to stop, but he doesn't. He doesn't. And then Kojo shows up. Kojo, he had taken a bike and Himuraki's blood to get there. Sayaka's reaction to it was funny. Someone on the Crunchyroll comments said You know, because you look at what happened when Kojo took Himuraki's blood, and it wasn't that much of a change really. He didn't get stronger or anything. Maybe he got a little bit more stamina, so he could actually ride that entire distance. But he didn't. Nothing really changed. So someone in the Crunchyroll comments said, "This shows how important foreplay is when it comes to blood sucking." I thought that was funny. He said, "Sayaka knows what's up. She knows what to do. Himuraki should take some clues from her." So I thought that was funny. But Gojo ends up showing up here, and Gigliola ends up being sent back to the prison barrier. And Kojo's talking with the way Kojo's talking. Asagi can tell he knows what the situation's like, so she's trying to get him to tell her what the situation's like. And during that process, she ends up revealing that there actually was reasoning for calling Natsuki Sana. So I mean, I don't know Japanese, so I couldn't have known that, but well, the fact that she had to explain it means that I'm sure there are a decent number of Japanese people themselves who didn't know why she was calling her son. I'm sure there are a bunch of different Japanese words with the letters S-A-N-A in them in a row. Osanai is probably not the only one. But yeah, she's trying to figure out what the situation is, and Vatler kind of comes in because he realizes that it's Natsuki. He hears Kojo refer to Sana as Natsuki, and he's actually pretty amused seeing Natsuki the way she is, which I don't blame him for at all. Because you think about the way Natsuki usually treats him and talks with him, like she's pretty cold towards him, just calls him Snake Charmer and all this. And like, just seeing her go from that to this, like I don't blame Vatler for being amused by that. It's actually kind of, and the face that they showed at that particular point in time, that was actually kind of funny. The expression, the facial expression Natsuki had. If you put yourself in Vatler's shoes, then I know I wouldn't be. I'd be amused too. But he actually offers to protect her and have her put her on his boat and Kojo. All right, and Kojo ends up accepting this because it's better than being in the middle of the city and being randomly attacked by these inmates who are pretty much pieces of crap. They're just losers. Well, they're not pieces of crap. Well, I mean, they're criminals, so I guess technically they are. Yeah, you know what? Who cares? All right. The point is that Kojo decides it would be best to go on the Vatler ship and protect her himself, and have the help of Vatler. So I'm sure Himuraki and Sayaka will show up at some point too. But yeah, the thing about this is that Asagi, while she may or may not agree with that decision, she doesn't like the fact that Kojo just made the decision on her own, even though it was Asagi who was protecting her before this. And she, it's I don't really know why she thinks that way because like I said before, Kojo's the only one that he's the one that actually knows what's going on. He's the one who legitimately knows the situation, but she still thinks that his decisions aren't best. So I don't know, that was weird. But again, she tries to figure out the situation, but he doesn't tell her. She also tries to figure out how he's acquainted with Vatler in the first place, because I mean the guy is the Lord of RDL. You know, that'd be like me picking up my phone and say, "Yo, what's up, Joe Biden? How's it going, man?" Like, like the guy's a big deal. All right, he's not exactly Barack Obama, but he's still a pretty big deal, you know. So it's natural for her to try to figure out, you know, why he knows that the Lord of RDL. But he tries to get her to settle for the "I'll tell you later" line, but she doesn't really go for it. But then she decides, you know what? If you take me with you onto Vatler's boat, then I'll agree. So then he ends up agreeing to that, and that's all we see of those guys. And the only other thing in this episode worth mentioning, well, Yuma wakes up in the end of the episode, but Aya ends up being approached by Mega. Like I think I mentioned that earlier. And he actually reveals to us what exactly is going on. Because Aya doesn't have any handcuffs, and it turns out that the reason she doesn't have handcuffs is because by obtaining Natsuki's memories, she has also obtained the key to the prison barrier. Right, so that means that she can't be sent back in through through the same means as the other escaped inmates, which means that she's probably going to have an actual fight, not like a cheap 2-second fight like Bleach. All right, all right. She's gonna have an actual fight. All right, and she by revealing this information to her, he kind of comes off as wanting to do something. So I like she has LeBlue come out, and he's like, oh wait, hold on, I'm not interested in fighting. This could actually help me out too. So Aya ends up figuring out that Mega is actually a member of the Lion King organization. Right. But he was in the prison barrier. So, and he doesn't seem like a former member either. He still feels like he's doing his duties and stuff, and he's loyal to the Lion King organization. So it's possible that he was in the prison barrier because he was doing some undercover work or something like that. I don't know, but because it's not like the Natsuki and the Lion King organization are like best friends. Like they're not. Natsuki is exactly a huge fan of them, but it's possible he was just being undercover. But it's also possible that the Lion King organization is just sketchy, which is the one I'm leaning towards. Himeragi probably has no idea. Neither does Sayaka. Or maybe Sayaka. Sayaka probably knows more than Himeragi, but neither of them probably know just how sketchy the Lion King organization really is. But I'm pretty sure the Lion King organization they're up to no good. Like they might not be like Sinbad levels of sketchiness, but they're still pretty sketchy. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much how the episode ends. I already mentioned that she was recreating the Dark Oath Grimoire that Natsuki destroyed. She's using the building to do it. Right now, the building itself is the Dark Oath Grimoire, so she can still use the curses that are inside of it. But yeah, that's really it for this episode. Overall, I'll give it a 7 out of 10 because the story was developed in multiple ways, but at the same time, there was a lot of convenient stuff that was kind of lame and stupid. So, well, not a lot of stuff, but still a decent handful of stuff. So I'll just give it a 7 out of 10. And yeah, that's really it. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.